Oh, yes. Just looking at this 9A.44.1323. Yeah. Failure to register as a kidnapping offender, Class C. Yeah. SORNA laws. Yes. The Class B felony. Poe. Those involved in the conspiracy, they all get gross misdemeanors. Every law enforcement officer. Those in judiciaries. Coach, for your conspiracy of refusing to acknowledge SORNA laws. I explained that you can't issue a protection order when I was not a resident of Washington State. And then you can't serve me on Guam because that's not the. Well, you can't. Well, it would be Heidi's failure, but obviously, if you're going to be in a conspiracy and you're going to use forgeries to issue court orders and you're not going to force the requirements of due process as a judge or a court commissioner, right? You yourselves are guilty of failing to register a kidnapper. Yeah. So just so you know, okay, your conspiracy has refused to prosecute for kidnapping, where the sole intent was to get custody of my sons. Now you're involved, every one of you. Y'all get gross misdemeanors. Good for you. Good for you. Now, this is false statements or records to defraud teachers' retirement system. Class B felony. Coach, did you give her a teaching certificate after I told you on November 20th of 2015? Squim Police Department, yes. Port Townsend Police Department, yes. And Port Angeles Police Department, yes. That I was not given any due process and the petitioner didn't sign the protection order. Well, your conspiracy to refuse to enforce the civil rights, yes, of myself, yeah, my sons, yes, and to a certain extent Heidi's, yeah, has cause for false statements or records to defraud the teacher's retirement system. Now, what's going to happen after she's been employed as a teacher for the last 2.5 years? They're going to find out that law enforcement wouldn't enforce the requirements of the RCWs. Yes, they allowed for the use of a forgery of an elected oath of office. Pooch. They issued a teaching certificate and employed an individual, yes, in the profession of teaching, and she made contributions to her retirement. Now, that would be the false statements or records to defraud the retirement system because she shouldn't have been given a teaching certificate and she shouldn't have been employed. Your conspiracy gets a Class C felony for that, Sheriff. Ooch. As does all the police officers. Right, right, right. All of the oaths of office. Pooh, pooh, pooh. Now, false statements regarding institutions and facilities. That would be a Class C felony. Pooch. Is it a false statement on the part of the court to issue a court order where there's a forgery? Pow. Is it an institution? Do you consider an actual judicial courthouse an institution or a facility? Now, for every time it was Heidi Lee Budner's signature instead of Heidi Lee Budnick, yes. Was that signed in an institution or facility known as the courthouse? You're getting gross misdemeanors, conspiracy. Pow, 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 pow. Now, it seems somewhat important that when you're employed in any location that could be considered an institution or facility, yes, and you decided to doctor the record so as to be able to violate my rights and the rights of my sons, the false statement known as court orders for the last 7 years and 3 years, yes, Every time that I find that it was a false statement regarding the institution, not respecting the actual courthouse. I think I can actually, because where exactly do you work at? An institution or a facility? Poach. Now, there's false verification for welfare, Class B felony. Now, let's say you issued a court order in 2011 without any due process to myself. Right. and then you arrested me for it, but you waited approximately 24 days after the allegation of violating it when I had called the Victims Advocacy Program of Clallam County. Yes. And they wanted to make sure to file for dissolution of marriage before I was arrested instead of having me arrested before filing for dissolution of marriage. I would say that it's fraudulent use of welfare. Yes. Now, that's a Class B felony. Poo-wee. Now, when you allow for somebody to file for dissolution of marriage, 3 days later have me arrested for allegedly violating it, 20 days before then, on the 4th, yes. When the law requires any information, complaint, or a citation of domestic violence, yes. I'm almost absolutely sure that every statement that's been filed since July, or really probably July, not July 8th, because you could have done it and then said, well, where's he at? He's on Guam. But the